Learning module, Why Should I Travel Outside of Maine? In this video, I'm going to show you how to work through this module and how to do your best work toward creating a final project. The goal of this module is to encourage people to travel outside of Maine. Some people have never left Maine. What would make them leave? What kinds of things would they be interested in another state? We're going to be learning a lot about Maine, and we're going to be learning a lot about another state. I'm not going to go into a lot of details. I just want you to see how to work through this module and show you a couple of tricks and tips that you may need along the way. So as I scroll down, you can see that the very first lesson or section in this module says, how can we encourage people to travel outside of Maine? This is sort of an introduction area, but it's also setting you up for your final project. We want to know what we're working on before we can get started. That way we know what we need to do to get all of the work done and to make sure that it's the best project it can be. So we're starting here with the choosing your project section rather than the how to complete your module section, because you need to know what you're working on before you can start. So clicking on the choose your project section, you're going to get a little information about what exactly you're doing and how you're going to make a choice about what state you're going to do and what project you're going to do. So we've got a couple of questions throughout the module that might ask you to do a little brainstorming. So if you are able to use pencil and paper and like to do that, you can do that. Or we've provided a little bit of a travel notes whiteboard sort of thing that you can use on your device that can keep track of all your brainstorming. So this little button here will take you to that. We'll talk about that again in a little bit, and I'll show you how to use it. But right here, we introduce you to what your options are for your project: a travel commercial advertising awesome things in your state of choice and comparing it to Maine, or a virtual field trip taking you on a tour of your state, comparing the traits of your chosen state to the traits of your home state of Maine. So again, you're going to be picking a specific state besides Maine, and learning about that state, and then comparing Maine and your state in order to make this video commercial or field trip to encourage people to visit. So that's the main idea, the main goal. So we want you to make a choice to help you guide where you're going with this project, but it's okay to change your mind as you work. So I want you to make a choice now that you feel comfortable with, but if that changes as you work, that's okay too. This right here, this downloadable section is also available in the travel notes, and I'm going to show you what that is. It's just kind of a way to evaluate where you're heading. There's going to be another section right at the end, your self-evaluation, that's the exact same thing. It's just kind of to keep you on track, and I'll show you how that is. And we're going to talk about this too, computer science connection. I'll talk about that in the how to complete your module. So here is where we kind of get started on figuring out how to choose our module. I am going to open the travel notes here to show you. This is, like I said, this is kind of like a whiteboard where you can jot notes down, pin pictures, or even sticky notes to kind of keep track of your thoughts and your brainstorming as you move along. So you've got 8 pages here, and you can always add to that if you feel like you need more space. But each page kind of has the little blurb about whatever brainstorming we're asking you to do. So it just kind of keeps you on track with that. So we just saw this question, where do I want to visit? And here are some examples of how you can sort of show that. So I've put a sticky note that says Disney World, and I put a picture of the Statue of Liberty. These are just examples, as you can see. These are your tools you can use. So you can use a sticky note by clicking on this and typing something in and hitting save. And then it puts your sticky note on the page. You just hit cancel here and pull it down, put it wherever you want it. You can move it around, make it fancy. You can copy it, delete it, edit it. I'm just going to delete it because we don't need it. You can also use a picture just like this. I would suggest coming to Google image search and typing in what you're looking for. So I can type in Disney World. I'm going to get a whole bunch of Disney World pictures. I can click on one and hit insert. And here it is. And I can move this around just like that. And you can add text with a text box by clicking and typing. And you can change the color of your font and the size, the orientation. So those are some tools you can use. You're probably not going to use the little laser pointer. That's more for if you're presenting. You can make a circle if you want. This is if you want to make a Venn diagram where you compare things, or maybe you just like the shape of the circle, and you can type in it by putting text. So that's basically, here's an eraser and a pen if you want to actually write something. That's basically it. Pretty easy to use and fun, a little bit more fun maybe than typing or writing it out. So feel free to use this. You don't have to, okay? But as I said, here are the pages that we've provided. You can add any pages that you'd like. You'll notice here I talked about the self-reflection questions. These are the kinds of things that you're going to want to ask yourself before you get started as a way to kind of get you oriented where you're going. Obviously, you're not going to know the answers to all these questions. This is more of a way to say these are the questions that we need to ask and answer in our project, okay? And so you can add some goals that you have beyond the goals that are here. And so this is what you're going to kind of look at when you're all finished and make sure you hit all these points. All right, I'm going to head back. These two options here are kind of showing you what you can choose from. It's giving you some examples, keeping you on track with what you're going to need. Same thing here with a virtual field trip, some examples, what you will need. So once you've pretty much figured out where you're heading, what project you think you want to do, you can actually get started. So here's the getting started section. It gives you kind of what you'll need for materials. It's not a lot. Pretty much you can complete this as long as you have a computer or a device. You do need internet access and a Google account. Epic Books account is helpful because it'll allow you to look at some books to find information. And you definitely need a device that allows you to record. So whether that's a laptop or an iPad or something like that. But that's how you're going to make your video. So those are the things you need. This gives you a heads up that there is a vocabulary section at the end. And that vocabulary section will allow you to look up any words that are bolded throughout the module that you might be wondering what they mean. This goes over the travel notes that we just talked about, just to give you kind of an overview of what that does. And this is the video we're watching right now. I know it doesn't look exactly the same here because this was just a temporary spot since I can't exactly record myself showing you the video if the video hasn't been recorded. So this is just kind of a placeholder. And a reminder down here to make sure you take a break. You can see right here there's a break button over at the side. It'll also pop up every now and then and ask you if you need a break. Please don't work so hard that your brain feels tired. Working hard is great, but we all need a little break. So be sure to utilize the break button or take a break when it asks you if you need one. The next section, as you can see, we have how to use Epic Books. So if you're not sure how to use Epic Books, you can start there. That will be helpful down here in the All About Maine and Pick a Destination State section. It's not a requirement, but it will definitely help you gather information that you need. This is called the Computer Science Connection. So you are in the computer science section of Moose, and believe it or not, even though this activity, this project seems to be focused more on social studies, learning about places, this actually can be connected to computer science and what we call computational thinking. And basically anything. You can make connections between anything in computer science. So this is kind of showing you how, telling you about computational thinking and computer science, giving you a little intro and checking your understanding of it. So there's a little sorting activity to kind of check whether you understand what computational thinking is. So this asks, is it computational thinking or not? And you can drag these words to the correct category and check and see if you got it right. And then this shows you that this is what you're going to be looking for on the individual lessons to find out what specific computer science connections we can make between what we're doing and computer science. So I've also included the 4 main categories of computational thinking: decomposition, abstraction, pattern recognition, and algorithm. These are the ways categories we're kind of going to put our learning into as far as the computer science connection. So you can watch the videos and learn more about those in this section. And then we have the travel guide. So our travel guide is what we're going to use to kind of work on our module as we're working toward making our video at the end. So we can't just hit the record button and start recording. We have to have a way to kind of gather our information and our research and keep track of things. So this is our travel guide, and that's what we're going to be using. This kind of tells you what a travel guide is and gives you an example of one here. A travel guide is a book or sometimes a website that people use to kind of get information about a place that they're going to be. See, I'm going to say take a break at a later time, but sorry to interrupt. I just wanted you to see that this will pop up over time. Right now I'm going to hit this, but if you needed a break, you could click on that and take a break. All right, I'm sorry. So yeah, I was saying a travel guide is a way that people can kind of do some research on the places that they're going to visit. They can find out what things are exciting to check out, places to eat, tips and tricks for a certain area. So we're going to be creating that as we go to help us get to the point that we can actually make a commercial or a field trip. This is what to look for, the little icon to look for to tell you this is time to use your travel guide. Open it up and add your information. So you'll be looking for this as you go. And here's the button to open your travel guide. And it's just like the travel notes, the Jamboard. You're going to open it up and make a copy for yourself, and you're going to keep it open. You want to keep these 3 tabs open: your module, your travel guide, and if you're using the travel notes, keep that open too. And here is basically a template that we have created that you can use to put the information that you're gathering in. Feel free to add pages and add things. We don't want you to feel confined to what we've included, because I'm sure as you're researching and depending on what state you choose, you'll find some things beyond what we have here that are exciting and that will be helpful toward encouraging people to travel to your state. You are going to be gathering information about both Maine and a chosen state. So there are slides here on this travel guide for both. So just keep that in mind. All right, heading back, you can see that there is a travel guide video that guides you through how to put information in and make your graphs that you saw on there. So make sure you check this out in the travel guide section. And then there's also an example travel guide that we've made for you to kind of see what it looks like to plug in your own information. We used the fictional location of Bikini Bottom. You may or may not know what that location is, but it's from a popular cartoon show. And so as you go through the travel guide, you'll see that the items are related to Bikini Bottom, just as a fun example. All right, and then we're going to move on to learning all about Maine. So we start with the learning about Maine section. Obviously, you live in Maine, but there might be a lot of stuff you still don't know. So we are going to do some research. And so this kind of guides us through how to research, how we're going to approach researching. And you do have a choice. You can decide what your level is. You can decide if you need some support with researching, or if you feel like you know how to research and you know what you're doing, you can move on to researching Maine on your own. So what you'll find in both sections is this bookshelf, and on the bookshelf you will find books and resources, websites that you can use to find information about Maine and to do your research. When you click on them, they will open in a new window, new tab, I should say, and open right up to the EPIC book that you are trying to use, or the website that you're trying to use. You will have to make sure that you're signed into Epic ahead of time if you want it to open up like this. Otherwise, it's going to ask you to sign in when you click on it. So you can go back to that how to use Epic Books if you need help figuring that out. So I'm going to close out of that. So this bookshelf is full of options for you. You can choose the ones that you feel are most helpful, and pick and choose the information that you need for your travel guide, remembering to add things if you feel like there's additional things that you want to include. And here are some ideas from the travel guide of what you're looking for. All right, and then the next step is to pick your destination state. A destination state is the place you're heading to. So the first thing is to kind of figure out what state you want to use. And here's some videos to help you kind of get oriented with what states you have for options. You can also go back to, if you've been using the travel notes, you can go back to here and you're brainstorming and kind of look at the things that you are interested in, ideas that you might have of states, maybe because you were interested in Disney World. For example, if I was interested in Disney World, I might want to research Florida or California. Florida being the home state of Disney World, California being the home state of Disneyland. So those are some ways that you can kind of figure out what you would like to use for a state. Okay. So once you've decided, you're going to do the same thing as you did with Maine, and you're going to do some research. You're going to find information about the same information that you found about Maine for your state. So if you did add additional things beyond what was already in the travel guide, you're going to want to make sure you research that about your state also. And then here is the bookshelf that you can use to find that information that you want. And then we're going to head down to compare with data next. So this means you are going to be collecting some data, not just facts, but some data about Maine and your state. This part is going to kind of orient you and give you a feel for what that means, what kind of data you might be able to collect. What is data? That's all here. Watching the videos, looking at the infographic will help you get an idea of what we mean by that. There is like a sub lesson here about data if you need a little bit of direction and a little bit more understanding of what data is. And then once you've decided and it's time to collect the data, you're going to use these resources, or you can use other resources that you might know of to find that data. So again, we've got the bookshelf where you can click and it will take you to different resources. And then your next step will be to put your data into charts and graphs, because that makes it easy for us to look and compare. So here's some videos on what bar graphs and pie charts are. And you'll head to your travel guide to make those charts and graphs. And actually, the travel guides made it really simple to do that. You'll want to watch the travel guide video again if you have forgotten or unsure on how to get those graphs and charts made inside your travel guide. And then finally, there's a section on, we've got all this data and we've got these charts, but what does it mean? So this is a section on interpreting and using data. And you can go to your notes, whether you've put them in the travel Jamboard or whether you've been doing it on paper or somewhere else. You can go to your notes and make some predictions about what some of your data might mean for potential travelers. And then finally, once you've got all of this data and facts gathered and your travel guide has been completed, it is time to move on to creating your virtual field trip or commercial advertisement. So this section is all about helping you do that and giving you examples on how to do that. We recommend using WeVideo as your recording option. That's what I'm using to make the video that I'm doing right now, but you certainly can use something else if you're more comfortable, or if you have a suggestion from teachers at your school. So this is kind of a little bit of a tutorial on how to use WeVideo and a walkthrough of how you can take your travel guide and make a script of what you want to say, and then use your script to create your your travel video, whether it's a virtual field trip or a commercial. And of course, we've included a example for you as well using the bikini bottom example that we've been using throughout the module. So you can check that out. And just a little things to remember box down here to remind you that this bikini bottom example is a little bit limited in that it's not exactly what you're going to be creating. So just a reminder of that if you need it. And then lastly, you need to review your project. And we looked at in the Travel Jamboard the self-reflection questions ahead of time, and you're going to be doing it again now that you've created your video and have watched it. When you ask yourself the questions here, what are some things that you missed or could do better? So you're looking for, spots where maybe you didn't quite hit your goals here in these reflection questions. And we do recommend that if you are able to and have access to somebody else that can review your final project, that you have them look at these questions as well to kind of guide you as to what you might be able to improve or edit. So once you have thought about that and looked at those questions, you can kind of give yourself some feedback in the travel notes where we're just looking, and then make any changes that you need to make. You definitely shouldn't just make your video and leave it as is. You want to watch it and edit it and make sure it's the best that it can be. So that's what you're going to do in this section. And finally, the vocabulary section is where I directed you earlier to find any words that are bolded from the module. You can find their definitions here to help you if you don't know for sure what they mean. When you click on a word, it does show you the definition. So there it is. There's how to complete this module. And there are, like I've pointed out, a couple of other videos along the way to help you with tutorials on using specific things or parts of the module if you need extra help. So maybe take a break and come back and start thinking about what you want your project to be. Good luck!